That we're joined now by committee member and Illinois Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Congressman, thanks for being here. So you hear CNN's reporting that the Inspector General for the Department of Homeland Security knew about the missing Secret Service text messages over a year before alerting your committee, 7 months earlier than Secret Service officials had previously stated. Does that make any sense to you?
It doesn't. And, this is all new to me, too. We found out as a committee, as you well know and have reported, about these missing texts not that long ago. We got a letter from the IG. We talked to him. We had no idea that it went as far back. And you think about, this committee has been operable for a year at least now. We've had staff working hard on this. We could have had a year of lead time to get to the answer. And now, we're down to however many months to get to the answers of this. It doesn't make a lot of sense why the IG wouldn't tell us. I'm sure he's going to have to answer to that. And of course, this whole missing text thing is crazy, nuts. And, the American people, not just our committee, but maybe the American people through our committee deserve that answer because it's the law to keep that stuff, particularly if you're the Secret Service and it was like one of the more dangerous days since 9/11 that you've been part of.
Yeah, I mean, just as a day in U.S. history, the idea that everything wouldn't be preserved is, is it possible they were lost to incompetence? Was it intentional, a cover-up? Do you have any sense?
Yeah, look, it's certainly possible that it was, a scheduled migration. Nobody cared enough to take the action or, they're just like, whatever. I don't want to make an accusation without the evidence, which is why it's so frustrating that we're just finding out about this. But it is mysterious to say the least. And, I think, first off, let's say the Secret Service knew this over a year ago. They knew that the preservation request had gone out from the other committees, not the January 6th committee yet. And yet they never alerted the committee, hey, look, we accidentally deleted them. And if you did accidentally delete them, probably best to get out in front of it. Instead, it appears that it was covered up until finally the IG tells us. So, I don't know if it's trying to cover up gross mismanagement or if there's something more to it. But we deserve the answer. And I guarantee you there's somebody somewhere in the Secret Service that knows the answer to that should come forward and talk to us.
And the Washington Post reported that, as you know, that the text messages from former acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf and acting Deputy Secretary Ken Cuccinelli are also missing for this key period leading up to the January 6th. Sources telling CNN both of them recently sat for interviews with your committee. I know, obviously, you can't get into specifics from what they may have said, but does it make sense to you now that their texts are missing too?
No, look, without getting too much into it, again, I think you had played a soundbite by Mick Mulvaney. When you leave government, if you have a government cell phone, that stays with government, and then the government has the stuff they're supposed to do to preserve the records of that. Particularly, again, we're talking about we had just gone through January 6th, so it's not like hey, I'm out. I got out of service prior to January 6th. I didn't think there was anything of importance. You went through that process, so. Again, there's so much mystery here, and this is why it's important for the committee, even as we look at an interim report, to keep this investigation plugging to find out these loose ends and things we can. Because, look, it's not about the committee. It's not about, this is about what the American people deserve. We live in a democracy. We don't live in a dictatorship. People deserve answers, and they deserve transparency.
Yeah, the truth. That's all people, that's what people deserve. We've seen a number of other former top Trump officials, cabinet members, sit for interviews with your committee. More reportedly negotiations. The former Trump members of the administration they've often obviously claimed executive privilege over conversations they had with the president. Can you say if any have been more forthcoming about discussions they've had among themselves, for example, about invoking the 25th Amendment, or are those also things they might claim privilege over?
Well, we're starting to get to the bottom of some questions on that. We've had interviews. We'll have more interviews scheduled in the future. I can't get into too much of what we know or what we're hoping to find out or anything along that line. But look, I think with what we did last Thursday in our hearing, or maybe I guess a week ago now, we put out that letter by Eugene Scalia where he was basically to the president saying, you need to speak to the cabinet. You need to come in front of the cabinet. That to me, and this is just my opinion, this isn't from anything else besides my opinion, that to me was sort of a warning that you need to come and talk to the cabinet because we could invoke the 25th Amendment because you have to come up in front of us. So I always thought that was pretty interesting. Didn't get a ton of attention, but it's certainly something that's worth looking at.
As we heard, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy was asked today about conversations on January 6th between him and Cassidy Hutchinson. Obviously, she testified under oath. He said he didn't remember them. He denies even watching the former president's speech at the rally that day. What do you make of those comments?
I mean, look, I don't trust a thing Kevin McCarthy says. I'll be honest with you. He's sometime about a year or two ago, he made the decision that his only goal is to become Speaker of the House, and he'll do whatever he has to do. And he thinks that siding with the insurrectionists is the way to get there. Maybe it will make him Speaker. I don't know. But I know this. Cassidy Hutchinson testified under oath. She is extremely credible. All these anonymous sources that have tried to discredit her have not, first off, none of them have come in and spoken on the record under oath. And secondarily, they've all been discredited. So, look, I know this for a fact. Cassidy Hutchinson maintained a lot of outreach to members of Congress, so it is not inconceivable that she would be the one Kevin would call.
Yeah, and it sounded like, based on what she said, that he had been talking to her throughout the week because he was accusing her of lying to him about what she had said previously. Congressman Kinzinger.
Yeah, and I think...
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say real quick, I mean, the idea that she would just come up with that story and make it up is ludicrous.
Yeah. Congressman, I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
You bet.
It's been quite a big week.